state of Arizona, to be held on Monday, August 19th, 2019, at 7 p.m. at the City Hall Building, 915 South Cloverville Road, Bisbee, Arizona. Ms. Coronado, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Lewis Pollock.
Here.
Councilmember Joni Giacomino is excused. Councilmember Bill Higgins.
Here.
Mayor David M. Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Leslie Johns is excused. Councilmember Joan Hanson is excused. Mayor Pro Tem Anna Klein.
Here.
City staff, Ashley Coronado, City Clerk. Carrie Bagley, Finance Director. Jesus Haro, Public Works Director. Albert E. Chavez, Police Chief. George Castillo, Fire Chief. James Ledbetter, City Attorney.
Thank you. And our city manager is still with us. She is just come back to Minnesota to finalize her move here. So she's still with us completely. She's even bought a house here, and she's totally invested in Bisbee. So nobody should pay. So for our invocation, our moment of silence tonight, I'd like to do something a little different. I've been unfortunately talking about tragedies around the world, and with everything that's going on around the world, we've got incredible heat back east and around here too, and rain and terrible winds and so forth. And I was thinking about that this morning, sitting on the porch and looking out over Bisbee, just how lucky we are, and we need to take advantage of that. So just join me for a minute and with our thanks for this allowing us to be here. Thank you. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks so much. For our the mayor's announcements, I'll just go through real quick a few of the things that I've been doing and representing the city in the last 2 weeks since our last meeting. I was able to attend the Ward 2 meeting on the 5th. I'm sorry, on the 9th, and it was basically mostly had to do with break-ins in the Warren area and problems associated with that. And I want to thank our police chief, Chavez, and Deputy Chief Long for doing an excellent job. Thank you. And if Ms. Giacomino was here, I'd be thanking her for holding it. And Ms. Hanson was able to attend. She attended and then flew out the next morning. On the 12th, I was able to meet with Robert Quintanar of Freeport-McMoran and introduce Ms. Coleman to him, and we had a good conversation about partnerships and projects in the future. And on the 13th, I attended a staff meeting, and on the 13th, I then met with APS, Chief Achave, Deputy Chief Long, Chief Castillo, and we talked about communications and lighting issues. And I'm sorry, Ms. Coleman was there and was able to meet the APS representatives, both Richard Rosales and Matt from Douglas. That afternoon, with meeting with Councilman Pollock and Ms. Coleman and myself, we met with a non-quorum of the Streets and Infrastructure Committee to discuss funding, the availability of funds, and attempting to answer the questions had to do with accounting procedures. The accounting is something that they're just not used to, and so they don't understand the inflows and outflows of the money, particularly the 1% sales tax, because it takes a while to catch up to us. And so I think that was explained. I know that of the three that were there, one of them for sure gets it, and I think the other ones may also, which is a good thing. Then later that evening, I attended a Parks and Rec committee meeting. Councilman Pollock was there in the place of Ms. Hanson. And my purpose of being there was to discuss our IGA with Bisbee Unified School District at the Melody Lane School. So we could talk about that. On the 14th, that I attended the employee council meeting. And on the 15th, I took Ms. Coleman, zipped her up to Benson, and we attended the mayor-managers meeting. So she was able to meet all the rest of the managers in Cochise County, as well as most of the mayors in Cochise County. And we learned about dairies. And that outside of Wilcox, that dairy is going to have 4,500 heifers. And it's going to be the main breeding location for all of their dairy cows all over the country. So, which brought up a lot of conversations.
It was per month, 45, wasn't it? Per month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and our two council people here ventured up there and helped to represent Bisbee. We had a really good turnout, so thanks, guys. And then on the 16th, which was Friday, I was at an executive board meeting for SEGO, and we discussed transportation issues, etc. And then today there was a Cochise Addiction Recovery Partnership meeting in Douglas, and very well attended. We had 30 different groups there, and that program is working extremely well. I've learned about some people that have been wanting to get clean off of drugs, and actually have been transported by police to the detox locations, and we're now up to apparently 10 people. The last one being in Sierra Vista. So the projects are working, and it's a great deal. So with that, that is my 2-week report, and we're going to move on to call to the public. We have none, which could be one of the first times. So we'll go to accounts payable.
I move that we pay accounts payable in the amount of $155,622.40.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Council has no questions. All those in favor of paying accounts payable signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried unanimously. Item number 2, approval of the consent agenda. This is items A through J. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular session of the Mayor and Council held on August 6, 2019 at 7 p.m. B, approval of the appointment of Tom Wheeler to the Charter Review Committee. C, approval of the appointment of Oni Crawley to the Charter Review Committee. D, approval of the appointment of Sandra Hummingbird to the Charter Review Committee. E, approval of the resignation of Laura Morgan from the Bisbee Arts Commission. F, approval of a park facility and right-of-way use permit for Bisbee High School for the use of Main Street for a pick parade on Wednesday, August 28, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. with possible waiver of fees. G, approval of a park facility and right-of-way use permit for Bisbee High School for the use of Cole Avenue Bisbee Road, Douglas Street, Ruby Avenue, and Arizona Street for a homecoming parade on Friday, October 11th, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. with a possible waiver of fees. H, approval of a park facility and right-of-way use permit for BRATS, that's B-R-A-T-S, for the use of Subway Street on Saturday, October 26, 2019, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. J, approval of a special event liquor license application submitted by the Old World Church, Inc. for an event to be held at 40 Brewery Gulch, Bisbee, Arizona on Sunday, September 1st, 2019, from 12 p.m. noon to 12 a.m. midnight. Robert Bowling applicants. Council, do we have any wish to pull any of these items for discussion?
I move that we approve items A through J, the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second. Ms. Coronado.
Councilmember Pollock,
Aye.
Councilmember Higgins,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Smith.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. We have no old business. New business, item number 3, discussion of possible approval of a donation of windscreens for use on the pickleball court in Higgins Park during the months of March through May. Jesus Haro, Public Works Director. Thank you,
Good
sir.
evening, Mayor, members of the council. The agenda item before you today is to decide on the acceptance of the windscreens that was arranged by Bisbee Vogue Inc. The intent of the donations for the screens to be installed on the pickleball court at Higgins Park. The screens are 6 feet tall. They extend the full height of the fence. We provided a picture for you. That picture was from windscreens that were actually installed in the pickleball court in Sierra Vista. So they're unlike that one where those will show that they don't extend the full height. The life expectancy of these screens is approximately 20 years. We, as the Public Works Department, will maintain them as long as they are in good condition. Once they go beyond the good condition, are no longer any use, we'll just remove them. I presented this donation before the Parks Committee. The Parks Committee recommended accepting the donation with the stipulation that they are installed from March to May, not year-round. Bisbee Vogue has expressed that if they are not installed year-round, that they may rescind the donation.
Thank you, sir. We have a speaker. And I'd like to hear the speaker, and then if we have questions of Mr. Harlow, we can go back, so that's all right. Linda Moore, please.
Okay. My name's Linda Moore. And I'm representing Bisbee Vogue Inc., but I'm also representing pickleball players in Bisbee. We are donating it was given to us to donate to the city. And I do understand that the Parks and Recreation Committee expressed in their opinion that they were unseemly or they were not attractive because that they would block the vision of the park and stuff like that. They only want to put them up during three months out of the year because those would be the windiest times of the year. But as we know, Bisbee does get windy other times of the year, so we would like them to be up 12 months out of the year. And if anybody doesn't know anything about pickleball, this is the ball, and so it's kind of light, and so if there's wind, it does affect the ball, and we're hoping that we can put them up 12 months out of the year, but because the Parks and Recreation Department doesn't think they're attractive, we were thinking maybe we could experiment with possibly putting them up, and if they are really unattractive, if you get a lot of complaints that people can't see the park or whatever, that we would take them down and then give back to PET. But I just thought maybe if we could try them out and see if they're attractive enough, because if they are green, they do have the head emblem on them, but they really aren't that bad. And it would help the Bisbee pickleball players, because if it is windy, it's a game that you probably don't play. But if you have windscreens up, there's a better possibility that you would be able to play. And we do have lots of players right now. I was telling Mayor Smith that I've taught 40 people how to play. When I left the courts today, there were 15 people out there playing. We've only got 2 courts, so we have to take turns. It's a very social thing, so it is a good thing for Bisbee, and maybe it would be nice if we could play year-round. And in Bisbee, you can play year-round. But if the windscreens were up 12 months out of the year, you could definitely play a little more. Although we're not really sure, I mean, because the winds kind of come down through the thing, it's possible that the windscreens aren't going to be a great help, and then we could determine that too. It's not like you've got straight winds all the time, so.
Sure.
Anyway, I hope that we can decide to put them up 12 months out of the year, and if anybody wants to learn how to play pickleball, come call me. I've got my cards with me, but we have a great time out there, and so I hope that the sunscreens are determined not to be so unseemly.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Powell.
I'd have to ask a question of Mr. Harrow about the feasibility of removing and replacing these screens. What did you?
I spoke with our Parks Department, and they said it would take about an hour to both install them and remove them.
Okay, thank you. I understand that Councilwoman Hanson has asked that we postpone this vote until she can be here.
Yes, sir, she emailed me asking if there's any way to postpone it simply because she was on the Parks and Rec Committee as a liaison. And she's had discussions with them, and she wanted to be able to impart to the audience what those discussions were. She asked me if I would pull the item. I indicated that I would not, simply because I did last time, and that pulling an item 2 times in a row doesn't seem to me to be efficient, and that the way to handle this, if it's going to be debated at a later time, is to ask to table the item, which would then come up at the next meeting.
I attended that meeting at her request in her place, and I have some questions that I would like to ask her. So I would like to make a motion that we table this item until she returns and has an opportunity to discuss it with me, or me discuss it with her. So with that, I move that we table this motion until the next regular session of the council.
I'll second that.
All those in favor of tabling this item signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Pollock, the conversation we'll have with her will be here. I'm assuming not in private, since it's come up now here. We probably shouldn't have that in private with her. Wait till she's back here and do it inside the board meeting.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that information too.
Can I ask you a question? So in the next meeting, there's actually a discussion that happens? As far
Yes.
So it's back on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
And again, my apologies, I tried to get you today.
all right. Now you have my number.
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
I do have your number.
Okay.
Item number 4, discussion of possible approval to enter into a service agreement with WLD Group for the professional engineering services to assess and design mitigating improvements to a drainage wall located on O'Cade Street. Mr. Harrow.
Good evening once again, Mayor, members of the council. This item before you is one of those walls that Mr. Pollock had mentioned a number of times before in meetings. It's a wall that's located behind the El Dorado Hotel in the Flume drainage way. The wall, there's a walkway that goes over the flume, so that wall, the walkway and the wall are both in need of repair. WLB Group will provide professional engineering for that. They'll provide plans, they'll provide some project management for that. and the WLB group is an approved on-call engineering firm.
Questions? Council, any questions? Boy, this is an easy, we're easy.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, I have a real quick question.
Yes, sir.
Carl, when was it last approved, you know, copper, you know?
I do not know.
Would you send me a note on that?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Excuse the interruption.
Oh, no interruption. Yes, sir. Do we have a motion?
I move to enter into a service agreement with the WLB Group for professional engineering service to assess and design mitigating improvements to a drainage wall located at Oak Street.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Ms. Cornell?
Councilmember Pollak,
Aye.
Councilmember Higgins,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Klein,
Aye.
Mayor Smith.
Aye, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Howard.
And with that,
And we have no city manager. We do have, on the agenda, there's some bullet points that she will be discussing, I believe, next meeting in more depth. And that has been posted, of course, on our site too, so that should be known by anybody that wants to know that. And with that, Mr. Higgins?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor of adjournment signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We stand adjourned.